sun is glorious here in the UK. So much that I was actually boiling my balls off while walking Ben, which is a disgrace, and I had to shower up and get clean for you guys. I can't come on the show stinking. You can't smell me, but it's a personal thing. I can't come on the show smelling. No way, man. I'm going to be funky fresh. Feeling good? If you're feeling good, you're going to have a good show. Welcome to the Daily Preach, the only daily that matters, where it's possible that I did a bad thing. Yeah, maybe I did a bad thing. Maybe I did a bad thing. Maybe I was too outspoken about something. Maybe. Not saying I did. Maybe. And then something happened in the game which changed because of something I said. Maybe. Or other than that, it might just be a huge coinky-dink, or it was pretty obvious knowledge. Maybe. Heroic scenarios. Kind of the last time I'm going to touch on these because, quite frankly, they've gone sky-high crazy with those heroic scenarios. They are pushing you into them like you are some peas in a pod, motherfucker. They want everybody to love your heroic scenarios. Get in there, enjoy them, love them. They are going to drown you in rewards. Oh, there's valors, there's 516 items, there's everything you need. They're going to shove you in. It's like a whorehouse, baby. Look at all the people. That's what they'll say. This is what they're going to say in about 2 months' time. It'll be the Blizzard World of Warcraft team meeting. They'll sit there, you know, burning money, lighting their cigars with those $100 bills and $50 bills. I'll be like, pfft. So, how did the heroic scenarios go? And then they'll go, you know what, guys? We did it. We did it. Everybody's doing heroic scenarios. They're like the most popular thing. They're more popular than dailies. Can you believe that? Everybody's doing heroic scenarios, and you're going to do it. If you're playing World of Warcraft, you're going to be in there. You are. You're going to be one of those guys. You're going to be one of the guys. You're going to be what's called a statistic. Yes, you are. You're going to be one of those guys. Why? You'd be a fucking fool not to. You would be an absolute mongoloid moron not to do some heroic scenarios. Why? Because they give you loads of shit. Tons and tons and tons and tons of shit. All the valor in the world, good items, everything you need. The casual player base has rejoiced, Blizzard will say. But is that the truth? Or is it not? Is it not the truth? Is it just the fact that it's just an incredibly efficient way of getting a lot of valor, maximum swag, for the least amount of YOLO? I mean, it's always the swag versus YOLO defense, isn't it? It's like, I need to measure my swag versus my YOLO, and then I'll see where I'm going with that. You see, effort, reward. Transferred into modern day language for you there. I'm a modern day Shakespeare, baby. Modern day Shakespeare. So, there's lots to talk about here. They had like a big defensive post actually where Blizzard was like, Bulwark of Azeroth, shield wall on top of that, and of course some monkey business nonsense, dodging questions, all that kind of stuff. They got really defensive. More defensive than I thought they were. Some people might read this and be like, they weren't defensive. They fucking were. Oh my god, were they defensive. And they dodged a lot of bullets with this one. But where did I go wrong? I did the heroic scenarios for you a couple of weeks ago, and I did the PTR video. I was like, oh, I'm in the heroic scenarios. And I was like, they're not that bad. We're the first to say it. They are not that bad. They're not. They're really not. They're actually okay. They're fine. No big deal. They're not a 5-man. They're not a 5-man. A 5-man's kind of got some presence about it. It's got that nice environment. It's got the feel. It's just generally better. But they weren't bad for what they were. I think a better way of saying it is, they were better than normal scenarios. Plastic fork. If someone was to give me a normal fork, I would tell you that that is not bad for a fork. It's better than what we had previously. Exactly. It isn't saying much. They were better than normal scenarios. Okay? Yes, I agree with you, Blizzard. My metal fork is better than my plastic fork. And they will go, success. We have improved on something. So therefore we've done it well. So the heroic scenarios weren't that bad. I'd prefer to do a 5-man. Of course I would. But apparently 5-mans are a lot of work. 5-mans are a lot of work, man. You can't just go doing 5-mans all the time because we don't have the people. We don't. It takes too long. But we'll get into that shortly. And yeah, so I made the big point. In fact, I did like a whole daily on it. I did this whole big daily about how healers kind of ruined the feel of heroic scenarios, right? You remember this? I was telling you tanks are useless. Tanks are a waste of fucking time. And then I was like, oh, but healers, they make it really easy. So, in almost a direct response to that video. They're going to go ahead and make it so that if you bring a healer, you won't be able to get the bonus objectives because your deeps won't be high enough. No. You can say that. That isn't what's going to work, is it? Because some healers do a lot of damage. A hell of a lot of damage. Like a really large amount of damage. Some healers don't. What you've actually done is completely shit on those healers who don't do huge amounts of damage. They're fucked. You are fucked. You're a main spec healer and you're like, what, a resto shaman? You're fucked. Who isn't fucked? Mistweaver monks aren't fucked at all. Yeah, as pointed out, we did a DPS race today where we take Unos healer, Deuce tanks, and we throw everybody who is able to play at Garajal. We bring people from heroic guilds, we bring people from all walks of life, and we just say, you know what? Blow this troll up. Take him to school. And we did that today. We did that today. It was won by an enhancement shaman. It was. A tremendous DPS, actually. So, like, what, 300,000 DPS? Something like that. It was pretty crazy. But we had one healer. Well, we had another healer who didn't have a DPS spec. It was just one of those things. But our main healer was actually Blubzor. Epic, heroic geared, Mistweaver monk. Comfortably broke 100k DPS. Comfortably broke 100k DPS. Yeah. Some healers do a lot of DPS. So, what you're going to find now is just certain healers are just fucked. Tanks are fucked. Tanks, bollocks. Some healers, bollocks. We're just reducing the amount of people who it's worth bringing to your heroic scenarios. And that's really unfair. It's really, really unfair, right? It's totally unfair. It's completely, ridiculously unfair. It's kind of sucky balls. But I don't know whether that was because I made such a fuss over how easy healers make it. However, I will say this. I haven't tried the heroic scenarios since this change was announced. But I did do quite a few of them. I did about 7 or 8 about 2 weeks ago with the heroic scenarios. And I'll tell you this. We didn't try for any of the bonus objectives. What we were not is far away from getting them. We weren't. We were pretty close, in fact. We were really, really close to actually completing the heroic scenarios bonus objectives. If I would have done it a second time, I would have pissed it. I would have absolutely pissed it. So how tight these timers are, I don't really know. I don't really know how tight these timers are, but they're not incredibly tight unless they've really fucking hammered them down because I made such a ridiculous deal over how much healers ruin them. Are they actually fun? They are, if you like, it's like what's fun in comparison to what you're doing now. If you stood in Orgrimmar, they're more fun than that. They're not bad. They're not bad. You do have to kind of think while you're in there about what you're doing. Especially if it's 3 DPS, yeah, they're not bad. They're okay. They're okay. There's something you could put up with. My big problem with scenarios, and they seem to think I've maybe not considered this, 5-man heroics, one of the good things about 5-mans is every single week, relatively speaking, they become faster and faster and faster. Obviously, you can end up in a group of either really fresh players or really green players. That means they don't really know what they're doing. Or, you know, that kind of idea. And it's not that fast. That happens. But in general, every 5-man you do now is loaded up with some guys who just destroy the place. They're averaging like 100, 150k DPS. And they just crush through it. You can't do that with scenarios because they're timed relatively. They're like a big quick time event. And you have to wait for each stage and you have to move around and do all this kind of stuff. So no matter how good you are, they tend to be about the same pacing, which I don't really like. It's a big difference towards 5-mans. Yeah, I can do a 5-man and they get faster and faster and faster and faster. But scenarios are all like, okay, now you must travel up here. Now you must complete this timed event where mobs spawn and they're kind of, you know, they're on a set timer. Sure, you can kill them quicker, but they've still got to climb the mountain. They've got to come out of their shell. The boss has got to drop down in his big epic performance and all that kind of stuff. They are okay. They're okay. They're better than normal scenarios. That's all I'm going to tell you. I didn't mind doing them. So, if I don't mind something, does that make it fun? That's the question. I don't mind doing them. Does that make them fun, though? Maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, like a normal raid, I don't particularly enjoy a normal mode raid. I don't particularly enjoy an LFR, obviously. I don't particularly enjoy normal mode raiding because it's just not where I like to be. I like to be at least in heroic mode, even if it's earlier bosses. That's where I feel comfortable. That's where I enjoy myself. So it's all relative to the player. Anything before that, I'm not overly enjoying it unless I'm playing with some fun people, which is kind of interesting. The next thing I wanted to talk about is I'm going for about I'm trying. It's gonna be a quickish daily. A quickish daily. I want to get on to do some streaming and get my stuff done. Yeah. Where's the big question is, TBC and Wrath. We had loads of content. Loads. We had extra 5-mans. We had raids. We had fucking Nax. We had Malagos. We had Sartharian. We had Ulduar, which was huge. We had Trial of the Crusader. And then we had ICC. We had enormous raids. We had new 5-mans piled on top of that. We got the TOC normal and heroic. We got the new ICC 5-mans. We got all this kind of stuff through Wrath of the Lich King. What changed? Why can't you do that now? Why has this not happened now? This is an easy question, and it's one that deserves an answer from Blizz. And look at the Burning Crusade. We had new 5-mans. We had new 10-mans. Are they 20-mans? No, they were 10-mans, right? Yeah, they were 10-mans. ZA was originally 10-man. Yeah. 10-man? ZA was originally 10-man. I'm sure it was. ZA was originally 10-man. I seem to have come to 10-man in my head. ZA was 10-man. We had more 5-mans. We had big fucking raids in TBC. We had all this extra stuff. So what happened? What happened? Why are we not getting that now? Why are we not getting that now? And it's a weird answer that really dodges the question. The answer is, hey, do you think we start doing the patch recently after the other one? Well, no, obviously we don't think that because we've got common sense. Sure, some people who may be younger and don't realise how business works might think, oh, they complete patch 5.2 and then they release it, then they start on patch 5.3. Of course not. That's not how it works. They start working well before. It needs to be tested, bug fixed, put on the PTR. The content is made way, way in advance and then it's finally ready to release. You have to work out all the basic errors and all that kind of stuff. And they were like, the response is like, hey, the stuff that you got in Wrath and the Burning Crusade, all that content, was stuff that we started making way before the expansion. And I read that, and I'm going, so you didn't do this stuff for Mr. Pandaria? It's what it sounds like you're telling me. I read that as, well, you didn't plan on doing this for Mr. Pandaria. They're saying like, oh, we started making that years and years, months ago. You know, this started coming out months and months ago. Right? And? I don't get your point. You started planning this stuff before. You started making Black Temple early on. You started doing ZA early on. Okay? So, what does that have to do with now? Because it sounds like you just didn't start doing anything now for Mr. Pandaria. It sounds like you started making it for Wrath and Burning Crusade, but you didn't do it this time. That's all it sounds like to me. That's not an excuse as to why there's no content now. And there isn't. Like they say, their words, scenarios are incredibly quick to make. And you've got to look at it from a business decision, right? People talk about money and being lazy. I don't think Blizzard is lazy. I don't think so. I don't think they would want to be lazy. If you had this gold mine, would you not mine it? Right? You know what I'm saying? If you were sat in this room and there's a gold mine, are you not going to mine it? Because why was a gold mine? From a business point of view, it's like a huge fucking gold mine. Are you not going to mine that? You're like, oh, well, you know, whatever. Leave it alone. No, I don't think so. I don't know what happened. But they openly say the scenarios are really easy and quick to make. Some of them are bigger than a 5-man. They are. Some of them are much bigger than a 5-man. It's true they use current content, right? So if you haven't realised it, of course, some of the scenarios take place in areas of the world. So they can literally lift a section of the WoW map, drop it on, and then start adding the fucking bits and bobs to it and a bit of walling so you can't escape it. But it's basically just parts of the world. And then they just drop it in. And then you can go and do whatever's already there. But it's places that already exist in the world. So in fact, creating the geography, I can see as being really easy. Definitely. And then they just apply the bits and bobs and the timed events and so on top of it. I don't feel like this is a genuine enough answer at all. It makes no sense. It's not like, oh, well, we don't begin work on the next patch. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. So that just says to me that you didn't bother making anything for Mr. Pandaria. It's like you were like, okay, we're going to do scenarios, we're going to do 5-mans. What new stuff have we actually had in Mr. Pandaria to justify the removal of 5-mans? We don't have time for 5-mans. We don't have time to give hunters dual guns, which is just the best thing ever. I'm fucking serious. Dual guns on a hunter? Yes. Every fucking day, yes. Yes, yes, yes. We got dailies. We got dailies in TBC. We got dailies in Wrath of the Lich King. That's not new. We had that as well. Pet battles. Yeah. But what? No, I mean, what? Not from launch. Not from launch. I don't mean from launch. I mean the extra content that came in. We had all sorts of stuff in the launch of all expansions, right? Of course we did. We got all the new stuff that warrants it being an expansion and not a patch. But then we got more stuff later on, right? As the patch developed. In Mist, we've had seemingly a lot because it comes fast, but not really when you think about it. Not a great deal. We had 2 new daily hubs. True, the Isle of Thunder is pretty big. So was the Trial of the Crusader. That was a huge, big area, as big as the Isle of Thunder. We got the Throne of Thunder raid, alright. And we also had the other dailies. Oh, the sun's fine, actually. I'm okay with it, unless it's bothering you guys. Oh, there. Okay, okay. Back over there, you're fine. Okay. More dailies, there's some story. We didn't actually get that much. The Brawlers Guild, not exploited enough. It could have been huge. That should have been the be-all and end-all. The fact that it's enclosed out of the way is kind of sucky. But we haven't had that much. We just haven't. We've had 2 new daily areas, and we've had a new raid. Challenge mode, again, is just turned up difficulty. It's not new content. And that was in at launch, I think. Challenge modes were in at launch. Stuff that's not in at launch, is what I'm saying. Stuff that wasn't in at launch. We haven't actually had that much. We're kind of already thinking that we're coming to the end of the expansion. Most of the changes we've seen have actually been class balancing. Stuff that should have been done ages ago, right? Stuff that should have been done ages ago. That's the kind of... I don't think we've actually not had that much. Yeah, just more dailies and a new raid. That's pretty much it. Pretty much. There's not been much else in Mists of Pandaria that we've actually gotten. It might have been faster, so it seems like we're getting a lot of content. Lord knows I felt it. I was like, God, they're doing more content, more patch numbers. As soon as a patch number changes, for somebody who does what I do with guides, that's like fucking hell. Because people will go, like, patch 5.3 is coming. There isn't expected to be much in the way of talent changes or anything, but people are already saying to me, when are you going to do the 5.3 guides? Well, they're not changing anything. Dude, the patch number changed. When are you doing the 5.3 guides? Because, quite frankly, I need them. It's like they're exactly the same. No, it's a new patch number. Everything must have changed. It has to be that way. It has to be that way. So, yeah, we haven't had that much. It's hard to understand. It's hard to sympathise. I want to, because I love Blizz. I love Blizz. I was talking to somebody about Project Titan, who works at Blizzard recently. Thumbs up. But it feels like an excuse, and I don't like that. The other interesting thing is that it doesn't look like you'll be able to queue for these heroic scenarios solo. The only reason I'm making a fuss out of this is because it's big for the future. It's big for the future of the game. They say they're going to make 5-mans. There was an open quote saying every expansion will come with some 5-mans. Perhaps that is just because there's not a solution yet in order to gear people up just as they cap. Okay, there's no real answer to how are people going to get their blues and stuff yet. So 5-mans are still kind of the best for doing that, and they do give that bit of content. But what I'm interested in really is, let's getting back to this, is heroic scenarios are kind of the future. Kind of the future. Yes, some. That's what they say. We're still going to have some 5-mans. I would expect something like, I'm not going to put numbers on it, but in more scenarios than there is 5-mans. Okay, more scenarios than there is 5-mans. I would expect that to happen. What I do want to say, though, is that you're not going to be able to queue solo for heroic scenarios. So, like, when you go on the PTR right now, it's not implemented yet. You can queue like you would for LFD, like LFR. You can just say, I want to do a heroic scenario, queue me. You won't be able to do that. You need a pre-made group. You need to decide who is coming along with you. So you'd have to ask guilds. You'd have to ask friends. You're going to have to ask people in general. And that's a good thing, I think. I think it's a good thing. It might be the first step to moving away from LFD, but they're not going to remove LFD, obviously. But giving people the option to actually find friends on a server, we need that. A good way, a resource of finding people to play with on a server. There's just no interaction anymore. It's a little step towards rebuilding the mess that is the community. Is like so thin spread. It's quite nice that you're going to have to find people. And you might start realising, at least, I mean, consider it from the guys in the cesspool guilds. Perhaps they're going to start realising that my guild's not the place to be. I kind of need to move out of this guild that doesn't talk to me. It's got 850 people online. If I say Megan Fox, everybody speaks. If I ask to do a heroic scenario, nobody answers my fucking question. Tumbleweeds roll across my keyboard. It's a nice idea. It's an experimentation, and I want this for the players who probably aren't even in this stream. You're probably not even watching right now, but consider it. You guys should be considering these kind of things. It's like, well, it's not just my perspective. From my perspective, I'm totally fucking awesome. I know I can pull my weight in a heroic scenario and do well, right? That's the kind of attitude I could have. It's like, why can't I queue solo? I know I kick ass. I know I'll be fine. I know I'll do my thing. Well, think about everybody else. The millions of people who are just sucked into these guilds. We even saw a screenshot of a guy today who pays guild tax. Don't do that. There is no need for a guild tax. No. Guild tax is a no. Don't do it. Don't do it. We saw, hey, it was you. There he is. You can ask him questions in the stream. There he is. He's still in the chat. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. But this crazy thing's going on in the world of Warcraft, man. This is going on. It's happening. It's out there. It's there. It's for all to see. And you don't think about it because you only see things from your point of view. Of course you do. You only see what you experience. Look at everybody else out there. Stuck in cesspool guilds that are instantly invited. They join the game. They have no idea what World of Warcraft is about. And there are millions of people who do that every year. There are as many people who leave this game as there are come back. The veterans leave. The other people leave. People from all walks of life leave. People buy this game. They install it. And before they get out of their first fucking intro cutscene, they are invited to a guild. And if you had never experienced that and someone said, hey, we have like a guild tax or we have some sort of contribution or if you do this you have to put it in the guild bank, you wouldn't think any different. You'd be like, okay, that's how guilds work because they give me the benefit of speed leveling. And a guild master to newbies can pull off that shit. They could be like, we give you faster leveling, we give you mass resurrection, you have a ton more spells in your spellbook, we give you money, we give you all this, we give you that, we give you this, we give you this, and all you do is you pay some guild tax back to us. It would kind of make sense. It would kind of make sense. It's a weird world. So I want people to get out of that. Heroic scenarios maybe as only a drop in the water, but it only takes that to start the tap flowing, is to get more and more people to be looking around. So I quite like that change. Will it last? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Do I want to touch on this subject again? No. It's kind of everything I said it would be. I remember specifically talking in one of the dailies where we touched on this. Expect Blizzard to throw a lot of gear at you. They are doing. Expect Blizzard to throw a lot of Valor points at you. They are doing. All that kind of stuff has happened. The only changes that were interesting to me is that you need a group pre-made in order to queue up for it. It'll still be random, but you'll need 2 other people along with you. And have they nerfed or buffed, I should say, the time to complete the bonus objectives so that healers can't do that? I would love to know if I ever in the next 10, 15 years find out if I'm directly responsible for that. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Probably not though, right? Probably not. But I'd be interested to know if that's actually the case. But yeah, that's only screwing over some healers. That's really screwing over some healers. So instantly from our heroic scenarios, tanks out, some healers are out of there. Resto Shamans. I believe Resto Shaman DPS isn't great either. So it's, yeah, pretty bad to those guys. Pretty bad to those guys. So it's pretty interesting stuff there. So I want to leave that with you. We might touch on it on Thursday. I think we're doing a workshop tomorrow and Wednesday because I only had time to do the one big workshop on Fire Mages last week. So I might be doing that. In other news, I'm doing big videos this week, so it's not going to be lots and lots of videos. I want to do the combustion video this week, but I want to finish off the rose-tinted goggles of vanilla, and I want to spend Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on Way of the Warrior 2, which is all pretty good. So that's it for today. I'm going to be live streaming after this and play World of Warcraft. I'm going to be playing some Rogue, playing some Shaman, playing some Hunter, and maybe some Warlock as well. I'd like everybody LFR ready for when I do the guides. People asking what are the next weeks. After this, before I start live streaming, I'm going to put a message on the Facebook, on the good book. You can vote. Do you want healing next? Do you want ranged DPS next? Or do you want melee next? Entirely up to you, like the style of the tank week we've just done. Okay, like the style of the tank week we've just done. Okay, so I'm going to take a break for about 10 minutes while I sort this all out. And then it's live stream a go-go. So thank you very much for tuning to the daily. I will be back shortly. For those of you watching on YouTube, have a good day.